This is The Download from Sounds Profitable, your daily source for the essential news in the business of podcasting. I'm Gavin Gaddis. Here's what you need to know for today, Tuesday, July 22nd. First up, the death of The Late Show is the canary in the linear coal mine. Setting aside the political implications and timing of CBS choosing not to renew Stephen Colbert's contract for The Late Show, there's something to consider about the sheer weight of the linear TV late-night talk show. Writer Dembowski points to The Daily Show. On paper, it gets under half the viewership of The Late Show, but outside the world of linear TV, it's a multi-channel empire. A show itself built in such a way that it complements both shareable clips and chain-watching interviews. In a world where the biggest late-night show can't carry its own weight monetarily, are similar decisions coming to news, morning chat shows, or soap operas that aren't inherently structured to be clip machines like The Daily Show. Next up, how does this podcast star make $20 million a year? That's right, I'm finally covering this story. Last month, celebrity podcaster Joe Budden posted a screenshot of traffic to his podcast Patreon account in an attempt to flex his traffic stats. Of course, online sleuths did some deductive work and calculated the traffic in the screenshot meant Joe Budden is earning around $900,000 from Patreon in June alone. What makes this specific New York Times article about the story interesting to the business of podcasting, though, is the candor and openness that Budden and his team offer the writer, sharing details about how the Joe Budden Network makes money, how much is made, and where. While the Patreon income grabbed headlines, the overall network brings in $20 million a year, which only half of which is accounted for by that Patreon. Running a healthy podcast requires several income streams, including direct selling their own ads and collecting passive ad income from platforms like YouTube. Next up, ad awards rush to tighten AI rules amid Cannes fallout. A handful of controversies went down following the awards ceremony at this year's Cannes Lions, including a Grand Prix prize being revoked, with DM9's winning campaign outed for not disclosing use of AI-generated and manipulated footage. In response to this and several other incidents at Cannes Lions where submitted campaigns obfuscated facts or misrepresented data, several ad awards are working to strengthen and clarify their own guidelines regarding generative AI content. Specifically, the One Club for Creativity, the Clio Awards, and DNAD told Adweek they're reviewing their guidelines before submissions open for entries later this year. Cannes has announced new global integrity standards they say will take effect for 2026 submissions, with agencies facing a ban of up to 3 years if they are caught intentionally submitting misleading work. Next up, Audiobooks Plus brings more choice and flexibility to Spotify Premium subscribers. Last week, Spotify announced an upgrade to their audiobook offerings. Before the announcement, audiobook fans who used more than their 15 hours that came with Spotify Premium could top things up by direct buying more hours or outright buying individual audiobooks. Now, with Audiobooks Plus, that is an add-on to your premium account that gives 15 more hours of listening per month. The program is currently live in 13 countries, not including the United States. And for our final top story, newsletter publisher 6am City buys AI startup Good Daily to expand to 400-plus markets. Newsletter-focused local media network 6am City has acquired AI startup Good Daily, bringing the overall reach of 6am City to almost 2 million newsletter subscribers across 400-plus U.S. cities. The business proposition of the Good Daily acquisition is to use Good Daily's AI-first model to generate newsletters focusing on hyper-local news and events without the overhead of 6am City's previous method of hiring at least one journalist per city to curate daily newsletter-worthy events. Hyper-local coverage of cities often left underserved by local journalism is a growing field, and feasibly the jump from newsletter to local podcasting could be the next step. As for the rest of the news, speaking of hyper-local coverage, CityCast has new offices in the Twin Cities and Seattle, both of which are hiring for multiple positions. You'll see some of them in the jobs section of the newsletter today. You can also find all of those postings on our job board at soundsprofitable.com/jobs. BrandStorytelling.tv has interviewed JAR Podcast Solutions co-founders Roger Nairn and Jen Moss about the company's recent rebrand and what that reflects. Matt Hurd has been announced as the new vice president of Signal Hill Insights. Amplify Media founder Stephen Goldstein covers the sold-out live show of Acquired at Radio City Music Hall and how a niche business podcast has become one of the biggest events in the industry. And remember that whole astronomer CEO affair situation at a Coldplay concert? You probably did if you opened up TikTok at least once. Bloomberg has an op-ed video in which columnist Beth Cowett suggests company boards keep close tabs on their CEO's mental status to stay ahead of any future incidents like that. Be sure to check out the links to every article mentioned by going right into your podcast listening app and hitting the link to go to our webpage for today's show. Or you can go to soundsprofitable.com and head over to the download section. You can even pick up a subscription to our newsletter on the way. The download is written and produced by myself, Brian Barletta, and Tom Webster. For Sounds Profitable, I'm Gavin Gaddis. Download us again tomorrow.